Hello, and welcome to Havoc Wargaming, dedicated to bringing you the uncommon. For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Ron, and today we're going to do a review of a small number of buildings from the MicroArt Studios Normandy line. So let's get started. Decided to get a few buildings from the MicroArt Studios line. A friend of mine has some of these. I'm pretty impressed by them. They're a little expensive, so I've been a little nervous about getting into them, and I think they might look a little too oddly distinctive next to my normal buildings. But as I'm now playing a bit of V for Victory or 5 for Victory, which requires very few buildings in most of their pre-designed scenarios, I thought it might be a good way to get started with some of these. For those of you who aren't familiar with the line, they're MDF buildings, but they are pre-painted, to a level of detail. In fact, I think it may be sublimation, it's actually called. I think they're actually printed, not painted. But it's a level of detail that is far beyond that of a normal pre-painted MDF kit. All sorts of little details are there. There's already weathering and fading on them. Some of them take a long time because of the complicated nature of how many parts they will take, but they're easy to put together, and I think they make a pretty good impact on the table. And what we're going to do right now is go and show you what some of these buildings look like by going to the gaming table. So we've got a couple of buildings here in front of us that we're going to talk a little bit about today. These are the MicroArt buildings. It's a handful of them. I guess we'll start from the least impressive to the most impressive. So the first was a little set, a shed and a dovecot. The shed is not remarkable. These are all pre-painted, are marvelously painted. Take a look closely at the weathering already on here. The patch on the back of it's supposed to be corrugated, I think. If there's an issue with these, like a friend of mine pointed out, well, there's a couple of issues, but they're minor. One of those is because they're pre-painted, the tabs are pretty darned obvious. You could probably try to match the paint and hide those a little bit, but it would be a challenge to get the graining and everything right. And of course, that corrugated piece in the roof, they've done work to try to make them look three-dimensional, but it is painted. It is not perfectly passable. Not a hard fix. You can buy at any good hobby shop. You can buy either plastic or metal corrugated iron for model railroading, which if this bothered you, I don't know how much it bothers me, but you could improve it by doing that. That would also help hide the top tabs there. Those tabs are of course there because the roof, like most of these, comes off. They have limited interiors. Like this one has a full interior because it doesn't have a door and you can see in it. And there's a floor in this one, but the walls are left bare. But this was a pretty inexpensive set, the shed and the dovecot, so it doesn't have the same kind of finishing that some of the later sets that we're going to talk about have. Still looks very good, looks very impressive sitting on the table, I think. At least I'm very pleased with these. This is the dovecot. There's a debris out here. Talk about the detail and the weathering. I mean, there's droppings from the birds on the entrance, both in the front and in the back. I think buying a couple of pigeons and gluing them on here might be a nice little detail. There's one came off. There's supposed to be a ladder out here on the outside. Again, the roof comes off. I don't remember this one. Did I glue that one on? No, I did not. I don't know that I needed the roof to come off on this, but it does. So those came together pretty inexpensively. Nice little features on the table. So the next one I'm going to go to is one of the Normandy houses. I can't remember the number for it. They do a number of different Normandy townhomes. I like this one because I think it can stand on its own, but it is meant to be a townhome, and they're meant to be placed side by side directly against each other. So there's not much detail on the sides. Again, pre-painted, weathering all through it. I'm a little annoyed because the shutters on it are depicted in the images as being blue. I mean, I could easily paint them, I suppose, but they're very, very pale blue. They were much darker on the art. This is a 3-story building, so it has a limited use in the garret. As I was saying on the other one, you can see some of the walls are finished. The roof is really not. The floor is. And the top store is entirely finished. You can make that all out, but it's got wallpaper on it as well as the floor. And a very two-dimensional staircase depicted. Oops, getting ahead of myself here. That's the back. Again, a lot of weathering, more weathering as you get further down to the building. That's a little awkward for interiors, but you'll see the reason for that in a moment. But it does have wallpaper again and floors, and now I'll show you what the reason for that is, and that is you can remove the building to show a destroyed building when damaged. It's not the best of destroyed buildings. I don't know, some friends of mine in fact haven't even bothered with that aspect. I kind of like it for when a game allows you to destroy a building that you have something of the right floor plan, even though it is less than convincing. I'm going to cover it as long as I'm talking about it. They haven't been installed yet, but something I've never seen anyone else do is they come with window glass. And they're a little weathered, I think. Maybe they're just dirty, but it looks to me like they're weathered. I haven't glued mine in yet because I'm not sure what glue I'm going to use. But you could glue these in intact. You could cut them for broken windows or for various shattered effects. And not something that you'll see in most MDF buildings. Some people will add them themselves, and some companies like TT Combat sells plastic for the purpose of making those. But to actually have them made for the model, I think it's a pretty cool idea. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about the most impressive one that I have built so far, which is the gas station here. I mean, what a wonderful little gas station this is. I'm not thrilled that much with the pumps, but you know, they're there. I have some lead ones somewhere that I might replace those with. It has the same problem I mentioned earlier with the roof. I love the fact though that the painting on it, painted directly onto the brick, is wearing. You could improve this by touching up some of the wood edges. You could add weathering, you could add some posters and things, but it doesn't need anything really. So again, the roof comes off. There's an interior, including spots where cars have driven around getting repaired inside. The doors are not exactly hinged. They sort of fit. They look hinged, but they'll pop right out. It's just sort of a tab going into a joint. I don't know how that will hold up, but I also don't know how important it is even to have it. So if it one day stops holding, I could just glue them in. The side room also opens up. So this is definitely one of my favorites of their models, is the garage. Now I've got a set of walls. These are lowish walls, I believe. Yeah, wall with gate low. So these are going to be like waist tall walls, which will help add some cover and help break up the ground. Clearly has some gates, always useful, and it'll match these buildings. And then I have the World War II Normandy townhouse too. So you see again what I meant. There's detail on the side, so you can use it as its own, but it could also connect right up against that building to provide a nice city look. It clearly also has the interior details. I'm probably not going to do a building video. Sometimes I'll do buildings, elapsed time videos of building construction. The construction of these is pretty straightforward. It's the only place it's complicated is in the fact that to make the pre-painted work, there's sometimes an awful lot of parts, but all of it goes together really, really straightforward and as easy as any other MDF kit. So there's usually a little piece of artwork that shows you, the front page, the advertising and all of that. Behind it though, it has instructions. A lot of MDF kits, you have to go online for instructions. I don't have really good Wi-Fi coverage where I'm at right now, so sometimes that's problematic for me when I'm here. And it's nice to have instructions right there. Looks like the gate has that same sort of tab thing I just showed you for the doors on the gas station. But here's what a piece will look like. So unlike, say, a black site studio thing where you'll have a sheet of all one solid color, these are done in different colors. I don't think this is technically pre-painted. I'm pretty sure this is sublimated or printed. So it has a whole lot more variation than any of these other models I've seen so far. I haven't seen the new ones like Cerisa's doing. I can't really comment on those. It's probably a similar process because I know Cerisa's been doing this with tokens for a while now. And they just released a line of pre-painted buildings. But so you can see the individual brick lines. There's some plant life growing on them. These are the gate hinges, but there'll be a couple different sheets, usually organized by, these probably won't have a lot of difference because they're just walls. But often they'll be segmented by various colors. And well, that's a good example, yeah. The gates, these are probably the tops of the fences, ends of the pillars. So all of it's all pre-painted. This is lighter, much lighter than the others. So that's an example of some of these products. I'll probably get a few more. They are the drawbacks of these. I mean, the one drawback is, of course, they're pre-painted. They look pretty similar. If these become popular, you'll start really recognizing when you'll see a table and you'll be like, oh, those are the micro art buildings. I don't know if that bothers you or not. It doesn't particularly bother me, but I know it bothers some people. And you're not likely to see a whole lot of like I might paint the shutters on those, but I'm not gonna. Why would I do a whole lot of painting on pre-painted products? Why get the pre-product if I was scared to do that? The other problem is they're not inexpensive. I don't think they're a bad bargain or a bad deal because they are very, very well painted. And you think of all the time it saves you in finishing the product. They're also in Poland, and it's MDF. MDF is not light. So the shipping charges can be a little high, which can mean the overall investment in these buildings is high. The thing that finally got me to buy some, I originally saw this on Travis's page on Combat CP some time ago, and I really liked them, but I couldn't imagine replacing buildings I already have and enjoy to cover a whole 6x4 table. Really, it's V for Victory that inspired me to make the jump, and I think they really make a difference. It's not as obvious now that I've kind of messed up my table. I really think they look really good in situ. And I don't ever need that many of them for V for Victory. So they're probably going to start being my go-to buildings for V for Victory, which is a game I've really been enjoying. There's a couple of things I really like about it, so I'm certainly not done playing with V for Victory. I hope you appreciated that and enjoyed that video. I like these buildings a lot. I think they were a good investment. The only really negatives I see to them is, like I said, one, they're kind of expensive. That's to be expected with all the work that's been put into it, to them and the time they will save you. Also, because they are pre-painted and to the level they are pre-painted, I don't think you'll see a whole lot of customizing of these happening. Maybe some added weathering, maybe some posters and things, but in reality, these buildings are going to look pretty much alike. So if they become more popular here in the United States, then there will be a time where a lot of people out there might have the exact same buildings that you do on the table. And I know some people are really bothered by that. It doesn't bother me a whole lot. I should probably mention when I talked about the expense, that the fact that it's a European company, they're in Poland, only increases the expense because the models are not cheap. And then, of course, the shipping is much, much higher. All of the models I've showed you today, I bought from various American suppliers, and in most cases actually saved money by doing that. I say that because, of course, somebody's still paying shipping, but I guess when they're buying in a large enough quantity, it reduces that or something, because I did save money by buying from some local suppliers instead of buying directly from the factory or from MicroArts themselves. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I don't know how many of you may have some of these buildings yourself or your own experience with them. If you do have your own experience with them, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you have any questions, put those in the comment section as well. And if you have ideas for further content you'd like to see us produce here on Havoc Wargaming, we look in the comment section for that as well. If you'd like to support the page, I have a Buy Me a Coffee page. I'll put a link down below for that. If you want to keep receiving notifications for videos like this one or others that may help you better determine how to spend your money or time in your tabletop wargaming hobby, then I hope you'll hit subscribe and ring our notification bell. Until next time, cheers.